Off the coast of India, there's this small forested island that is completely, and I mean completely off limits to the modern world. It's home to the Sentinelese people, and for centuries they've violently rejected any and all contact. Seriously, step on their shore and you're going to be met with a volley of arrows. But here's the thing. This isn't just random aggression. It's a policy. And to understand why, we don't look at the island itself. We have to listen to the stories, the tragic echoes of its neighbors.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why? What could possibly drive an entire culture to choose such complete, unwavering isolation? Well, it turns out the answer isn't actually on North Sentinel Island. Nope, it's found in the heartbreaking histories of the other Andamanese tribes, echoes of contact that have, without a doubt, washed up on the Sentinelese shore.
Okay, so our first echo. This one comes from the Great Andamanese. Now, this wasn't just one tribe. It was a whole group of 10 distinct tribes. They were the first ones to face the modern world when British ships popped up on the horizon. And their story? Well, it's a devastating warning.
So, get this. Before the British set up a colony there in the late 1700s, the Great Andamanese population was estimated to be around 5,000 people. A vibrant network of different societies, different languages, rich cultures, all thriving. Now, remember that number. 5,000. It's important.
But see, the British didn't just bring ships and soldiers. They brought something far more deadly, something you couldn't even see. They brought diseases, smallpox, measles, the flu, things the islanders had absolutely zero immunity to. After being isolated for thousands of years, these were invisible invaders they stood no chance against.
And the result? It was apocalyptic. The British officers themselves wrote about finding entire villages just silent, completely wiped out by sickness. In just 1 century, that population of 5,000 crashed down to only 600. That's a 90% drop. An entire world was literally vanished. And it didn't even stop there. By the 1960s, the total population of all 10 Great Andamanese tribes had fallen to just 19. 19 people. I mean, just think about that for a second. A civilization of thousands reduced to a group small enough to fit in a living room.
And maybe the most tragic part of this whole thing was the attempt to help. The British set up something called the Andaman Home to civilize the tribe members they captured. But in reality, it was a death trap. It was crowded, unsanitary, basically a factory for disease. One colonial record puts it bluntly. Of 150 babies born in that home, not a single one lived to see their second birthday.
So what's the legacy today? Well, the population has crawled back up to around 50 people, but their culture is almost completely gone. 9 out of their 10 languages are extinct. The few who are left are mostly assimilated, living on government aid. Their contact with the outside world cost them pretty much everything.
Now, the next echo we're going to listen to is a little different. It shows that not every tribe had the exact same experience. The Jarawa and the Anj, well, they chose slightly different paths. And it shows that even cracking the door open to the outside world comes with its own really complicated set of dangers.
For a long time, the Jarawa were just as hostile as the Sentinelese, hiding out deep in the forest. But then, in 1997, something changed. They started to voluntarily come out, to interact with the world. And that one decision brought them both good things and, well, some really terrible new threats.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem, right? On one hand, yeah, access to modern medicine saved lives, especially for babies. But on the other hand, it brought new sicknesses, a growing dependency on handouts, and this really gross thing called human safaris. Tourists would literally pay to drive through their home just to stare at them like they were animals in a zoo. It's a brutal trade-off, your survival for your sovereignty.
You see a very similar story with the Onje people. They were known for being peaceful, for being welcoming, but that kindness didn't protect them at all. Their population also collapsed, from over 600 to just about 100 today, and now they're stuck in the same cycle of dependency. So the lesson was becoming pretty clear. Whether you meet outsiders with arrows or with open arms, contact seemed to lead to ruin.
But of all the echoes, maybe the most haunting one is the one that's almost completely silent. The story of the Jangle people is, well, it's a chilling reminder of what can be lost before anyone even knew it was there.
The thing is, we know next to nothing about the Jungjil tribe. There are no clear photos of them. Their language was never written down. Their culture is a total mystery. They're like ghosts in the history books.
This is the last year that anyone confirmed seeing a person from the Jungjil tribe. After 1907, just silence. They just vanished. The best guess is that they were wiped out by the same invisible diseases that wrecked their neighbors. An entire people just blinked out of existence without a trace.
Okay, so with all these echoes ringing in our ears, the total devastation of the Great Andamanese, the raw deal of the Jarawa, the complete disappearance of the Jangil, we can finally go back to North Sentinel Island. And all of a sudden, their violent keep out sign doesn't look like primitive savagery anymore, does it? It looks like a carefully considered and frankly, a completely rational policy.
Every single interaction they've had has taught them the same lesson. Back in 1880, a British guy kidnapped 6 of them. The 2 adults died from disease almost immediately. In 1981, a shipwreck gave them a ton of metal, which was useful, but it also just reinforced the idea that the outside world is a source of strange, powerful, and dangerous things. Even the one and only peaceful contact in 1991 was quickly followed by the Indian government making the very wise choice to just leave them alone for good.
So, from their point of view, every single time an outsider has shown up, it's brought death, disease, and disruption. Their arrows aren't just weapons, they are a message, a clear, consistent message they've been sending for more than 100 years. Leave us alone. But in our world, a world that's so hyper-connected, that's a message that doesn't always get heard. And that brings us to the modern day, and to the tragic story of John Allen Shaw, an American missionary who believed he had a different message he needed to deliver to the island.
So in 2018, Chow paid fishermen to take him to the island illegally. He wanted to convert the tribe to Christianity. And his own diary shows he was driven by this incredible faith, but it also shows he just couldn't grasp the fundamental message the Sentinelese had been screaming for generations. His attempt to cross that uncrossable shore ended with his death.
Chow's death tragically just reinforced the Indian government's official policy, what they call a hands-off, eyes-on approach. There is a 5-kilometer exclusion zone around the island. It's illegal to go there. And it's not just a rule, it's the government formally recognizing the tribe's right to be left alone and admitting that for them, contact is the single biggest threat to their existence.
And that's where this story leaves us. North Sentinel Island isn't just about some remote tribe. It's like a mirror being held up to our own world. It forces us to ask a really tough question. In an age of total connection, what do we, the modern world, owe to the very last people who have seen what we have to offer and have answered with a clear and final no?